And we're off.
And welcome back to another episode upon the Blood Red Sand, where our intrepid adventurers have found themselves in the employ of the Jeddak of Beltan, offering their technical skills to this small city, well, small by Martian size. Their military has been operating on the same level that all Martians have for generations. And the advent of bolt-action weaponry added to their arsenal, and attempting to perfect semi-automatic and automatic weaponry has been consuming them for the past 3 weeks. Our adventurers have actually been given a squad each of 5 to train, with the idea that these 5 will then train 5 more each, and so forth and so on, until a huge army is ready to go with these new weaponry. As the city themselves get those weapons rolled out in production, which has proved a bit difficult with the semi-automatic and automatic weaponry because of the adaptation of the technology of Jassoon to Barsoom's radium-based weaponry. So we open with a scene out upon a rocky escarpment leading down into a basin that may have at one time either been a small sea or a large lake. Each of our Jassoonian soldiers find themselves at the head of a 5-man Martian strike force. And they've been sent out sort of to prove themselves in battle to see what these new weapons will do. And out upon this little plane they see down below them, there's a flyer. Looks like one of the smaller, possibly frigate-like warships of Zidanga. Looks like it may have landed for repairs or such, and the locals have said it's been there for at least a night and a day. So Sergeant Terrence Hawthorne, with his 5 Martians that he is leading, why don't you tell us about yourself and your squad, sir?
I shall do so. Terrence Hawthorne is Sergeant of His Majesty King George's First North African Rifles, and since his departure to Mars, he's been training a few of these lads how to wield the Lewis machine gun with no small amount of proficiency, which he's very proud of. His 5 lads here that he's been running them ragged. Terry is a strict and maybe a little too much of a disciplinarian taskmaster and a drill sergeant, but they've taken to it well. One of his lads is a Beltanese nomad by the name of Moa Khan, and he is by profession, he would be to the Martians, well, I should say to Earthmen, he would be a shepherd. And he's kind of got that, being a red Martian, his skin is beet red. He wears his black hair about shoulder length, and he's kind of got it in a messy man bun right now, and he's armed with a one of these new bolt-action rifles, and he's kind of got that Australian like bush ranger swagger to him. I mean, he walks like his shit doesn't stink, but he's pretty humble, and he's pretty popular with the ladies. And once actually we get in range, he'll hunker down behind a rock, and actually he'll be keeping an eye on that. The next runner up is a young man named Tan Kantos, who is also a Beltan native, but he's one of the youngest. He's been training under Terry with the machine gun as well. He has also been taking up lessons in Terry's hand-to-hand combat. He's been teaching the boys Savate since Terry picked up Savate when he was in the French trenches in the Western Theater during the war, before he had been posted um, to Egypt. A couple other guys is Telhor and then Tabthor. These three guys in total are his machine gunners. Tabthor, however, is the youngest at 21, and he has become Terry's best Savate fighter. Only second to the young George, the prince now, or heir apparent of the Belton throne. The last of his squad here is a Heliumite expat named Baravlor, or what him and his personal staff are nicknaming him, Lorry. And those of you who know what a lorry is, it's a big truck. Baravlor is, for a Red Martian, he is prodigiously enormous. He towers over most men at 6'9". He is built like a brick shithouse. He is broad. He looks like a red marble colossus. And he is one of Terry's experts with the long rifle. All five of these guys are pretty much prone to the dirt, and we are observing this Zidongan recon force, is what Terry's thinking. Terry, however, himself is dressed in the Red Martian garb. He has gone completely native at this point, ditching his white linen undershirt, as well as his puttees. Actually, he's ditched his trench puttees. The Martian harness kind of like shows off that he's obviously fish belly white compared to all to the rest of his guys. He's bronzing up nicely under the Barsoomian sun, but still it's pretty warm. Terry's hair is starting to get a little long at this point. It's a kind of a sandy auburn color, and his beard is starting to grow out. One thing that stands out amongst his lads is he's taken to wearing the Union Jack flag as a sash around his belt. That does make him stick out like a sore thumb as an officer, but as we all know, British officers don't duck, and he does not care if that makes him a target. But that is Terry's squad.
All right, very good, very good there. Along with them, we have Private Fergal McGuire and his intrepid band of air corsairs, if you will. Having been working with these fellows about adapting the guns to things that fly. How do we see Fergal at this moment, and introduce us to this band of air aces, if you will?
Okay, so we are currently on the ground with them, right?
You can be on the ground, or you could be higher up and above, at wherever you actually position your people at the moment, actually.
So I think at this point we are, since we're doing a scouting, my troop is crouched in the outcropping above near the rocks, and as the camera begins to pan in, you can see Fergal as he's twitchy, to say the least. Fergal knows as he reaches back and he touches this longer mane of hair that's beginning to grow. Since Terry's not cutting his hair, he's going to follow suit. So this red mane is beginning to come out. Even though he's still clean shaven, he's wearing his wool rig, albeit somewhat changed and altered, so that he's cooler in the environment. It only made sense under the circumstances. But he's been taking it upon himself to make sure that he is extra spit polished. He's not accustomed to leadership, and it might show at times. But next to him is a man that's quite taut. He is quite imposing, if you will. He wears a deep scarlet red in skin. He wears a black. His hair is pulled back in a ponytail, but he kind of shaves the sides of it. And since he's gotten to know Parjac, he is very forthright, very honest, but he believes in the Martian way of life and the culture, and he's very stalwart in his learning of the ways, if you will. However, behind him, Modus is not making much of an effort to hide. He is also similarly clad, but his skin's a little more lavender, if you will. Since meeting this man, he's learned a lot, if you will. He's learned a lot about the Martian culture and their past. But this did not come first at a cost. Modus fought him tooth and nail for days, and it was apparent in the squad that they were just getting to him amongst others. That's a story for another time, though. But he has learned a little bit about the history and the culture from Modus after he's opened up more. Gurmore is smiling with his grin through his light red skin. You know, and to humans, he might actually look sunburned, but much like, but this is normal here. And his blonde locks kind of stand out differently. Fergal is still trying to wrap his head around the culture and so on, but he has found that, let me find my notes here. Yeah, Gurmore is, he thinks highly of himself and likes to remind everyone in the troop that he is, they are blessed to have him along. The best part about it is he is very quick to learn and to put forth that effort. Next is Shala. And Shala is raven-haired as well, but she's actually in the process of trying to talk to Modus and trying to get him in the mindset. She's not being loud, but this is common. She is the type that tries to bring up the mirth, if you will, in the group. And he's actually kind of appreciated that, although she kind of flirts. And that's just so weird and awkward to him, being this is supposed to be military, and it's almost like, are you hitting on me? So Fergal just still learning to wrap his head around that. And finally we have Veor. Veor was one also that was just kind of mouthy in the beginning. She didn't like the way that Fergal was treating everyone, and found that for one who had not openly proven himself in front of the troop, she didn't have much respect for him. But again, that's all a tale for another time, because by hook or by crook, the 6 of these people have gotten closer to each other, some closer than others, and some with just an understanding. Either way, Fergal's nervous. He can kind of feel it, and he just tries to nonchalantly slide his palm down his thigh as he wipes the sweat from it. But they seem to be listening to him, and he still wonders if they're worthy of the nickname of the Fighting Irish. But time will tell. As he looks down to see where Hawkins is with his men.
And with that down below, Hawkins with his green Martians mounted upon their thoats, wait impatiently to charge forward. What do we see of Hawkins and his fellows?
What you see coming in from the opposite side is carefully moving, but clearly excited to move forward, is Hawkins and 5 green Martians on large thoats. It is clear at this point that Hawkins has pretty much lost any semblance of his former military gear. He is dressed fully as a green Martian would be. He does not, the only thing similar is the helm that he still wears. Next to him, but slightly behind, is Vars Tarkin, the largest of the 5. And he is a fighter by nature. This green Martian is covered in scars. You do not see him carrying a weapon, oddly enough, but you can see him clenching his 2 lower fists, just ready to go, while he's holding on to the thoat's reins with the other 2. Next to him rides a slightly named Hulk, who carries a massive spear, but seems to be almost at ease on the back of his mount.
Did you give us his name again? We didn't quite hear that. Sorry.
Not a problem. His name is Hark Kitar. Next to, on the other side of Vars, is Cole. And you notice that Cole looks a little shifty, even from a distance. He keeps looking around, and his thoat is a little smaller than the others. It seems that he's uncomfortable being out in the sand, out in the open. It's as if it's not quite his normal turf to be out fighting where you can see him. Behind the 3 rides Bent Kistra. And this green Martian is just a big old boy. He seems to be a little bit younger than the rest, but you see him carrying what looks to be a medic pouch with a slightly lopsided red cross on it. Seems that Hawkins has been teaching someone medicine. Whether or not he's been teaching him well, we're not sure yet, if it actually got through. And behind all of them rides Zint Basur. And this green Martian just has the steel in his spine of a war veteran who has seen his days. And you notice that he's watching the shifty one and the battlefield at the same time, almost as if a bodyguard would. And even Hawkins is mounted on his own thoat, though it's a little smaller than the rest, and you could tell he had to have a boost to get up on it. And it's clearly been, the reins have been redesigned to fit his 2 hands due to his shorter stature.
Yes, one of the things you notice about the Thoats is that after you've worked with them for a bit, they almost seem to, well, as you give them direction, they take it very easily. It's been explained to you by the other Green Martians that they actually have a mental connection with their animals similar to how they can communicate with you. And they've been sort of teaching you how to do the same. So at times you can actually have gotten to the point where you can actually fire from their back and not actually have to worry about which direction you're going to next, because you tell it in your mind. It's a little odd, but you're just trying to adapt to that as well.
Hence, there's still some reins because sometimes he's still not quite used to it. It's only been 3 weeks.
Exactly. Terrence has been given a Martian spyglass, which is a wondrous device. It's shorter than the spyglass. Well, it's longer than obviously a pair of binoculars, but it seems to use different lenses. And as you rotate them, the lenses, of course, zoom in and zoom out. But they also give you the ability to apparently see a little more than you're normally able to. They had explained to you before that the seventh ray was the one to be below red on their display of light. And this allows that ray to be brought down into a red light so that you can actually see it. The Martians don't normally have to worry about that because they can already see in that spectrum, it turns out. But it does allow you to look across this vast expanse at this frigate, and you see that there is a crew of about 30, which means you guys are outnumbered just shy of 2 to 1. But this the intelligence you've been given is that this frigate has been patrolling the edges of Beltan controlled areas for about a week now. And it may have been involved as well with the capture of your fellows. So the object here is to, if possible, capture it, but if not, not to allow this airship to return back to Zdonga. So you see that they're apparently outside of the ship, primarily carrying out repairs on it, possibly, or your knowledge of these airships is rudimentary at best, as you've been focused more on the actual weaponry than the technology here. But they seem to be doing things that you've seen mechanics do on vehicles that are not cooperating, if you will. Pieces,
Okay, yep.
Hatches open, pieces removed where they should be, things of that nature. So take it away, sir. What are your troops going to be doing? And each of you, by the way, has a semaphore person who there are actually two, they're basically a pair of paddles. One side is green, one side is red, and both positioning and the side that is presented forward to the observer apparently is some kind of combination of this information that goes back and forth between them. But so you may have learned a few basic signs at this point, but it's a very complex, and it can convey some very complex information fairly quickly.
What time of day is it, first off, before we get going?
It is, at this point, probably around high noon.
Ah, okay. Fair enough. As soon as Terry's looking through this spyglass, and how long have I had this spyglass?
It was probably presented to you about a week hence.
Okay.
Actually, it was presented to you by Jada Chan, who is Reed's wife.
Oh.
I finally have a name for her, and she said this is to keep your eye long so that you can see the danger coming towards her son before it gets too close.
I'm very grateful for that. That was very sweet of her. the young Washington is not with us currently. That's correct?
If you do not want him there, he's not there.
Yeah, Terry had a brief argument with George because, of course, he's chomping at the bit. I want to kill him too. No, nah, kid. No, no. You're staying here. The next one. You will be on the next one. But I will remark to my lads. I'll say, if they had, if that ship was in fact Beltan or by English make, see would have been broken down. We can already tell that their craftsmanship is already shoddy and useless. See, look at that.
They laugh at their commander's jest, and of course there's a round of derogatory statements about Zdongan's engineering and their ability to keep things in the air and in other ways working properly. Some in case actually questioning their manhood.
I'm gonna look at Telhor, who is the oldest. He's a couple years older than Terry. Is it like 32-ish? I'm like, do you think we can take that ship without damaging it? I mean, we could convert it, right?
Well, Fergal's flyers could probably fly it back to Beltan for us. It'd be easier than walking. Although I'm not sure if we could get Hawking's Tharks to or their thoats onto the thing or not.
That, as much as I would like to have fly everyone back, I understand the Tharks would prefer to hike it. But Moa Khan, you think you can hit the captain from here? Can you see him?
Sitting there looking through his scope. Yes, sir.
All
Good
right,
word.
the three of you with the long rifles, I want you lined up on this ridge here. Take cover. Don't poke your heads out. Lori and I will, actually, no, not Lori and I. Tabthor. Do any of my lads actually have the Martian version of the machine gun?
They have one.
They have one. All right, I'm going to give that to Tabthor. He's going to be the youngest.
Okay.
And
just assume the same stats as your gun. Just
right,
if it rolls
right.
it to it jams.
Okay, perfect. And we both have as much ammunition as we possibly can, correct? All right.
Yes, his ammunition is actually half capacity of what yours is because it's larger shells.
Fantastic. At that point, I'm going to have Lori. He's going to hold up our signal to have the guys wait. Basically, what I'm going to convey to the other squads is once we open up, you guys can have them. My snipers are going to pick out the officers on deck and try and take them out. I mean, they're going to prioritize their shots to the highest ranking people, and Tabthor and myself, and we're going to mag dump into the workers.
One of the things you all have had to sort of drill into your warriors that are working with you now is the idea of when you go into combat is to target the officers of the other side. Because generally the way Martian warfare has always worked in the past is officers will go in and challenge officers directly. And it becomes sort of a duel of honor type thing. And in a lot of cases, you'll have an officer fall and then his men will surrender. Of course, the fact that you have Beltan has about a quarter of the officers of either Zdonga or Helium makes that really difficult to do because they're basically fighting 4-on-1 right off the bat. So, and they've started to get to that point.
I would have explained to my lads that yes, honor is a good thing to have, but until we level the playing field, we're not going to have that on my watch. And I mean, until things are level, then we have to play it safe for now. With that, whoever can get the first shot.
Fergal is he's leaning over to Veor and he's like, "What was that? What did he just signal?"
He's signaling to wait that they are going to slay the officers.
Of course, he gets the glory. I didn't say that.
Oh.
All right.
Did you just say that you didn't say that, or is that?
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Thanks,
yeah.
Dave.
I kind of say it under my breath, and then I look to him and I say, "Okay, be ready."
Always the nobles want the glory.
Right. I say we need to hold for now. When we have the signal, we unleash hell.
You get some sort of quiet cheers and growls of anticipation at that.
We got to show them up. We're the best in this out of these three. You know that.
You even hear one Aaron go brah in the back. Not sure who said it, but.
Do you want me to make an attack roll here, Keith? Or
I'm going to
let's see what Hawkins is going to do with your command there first.
I'm going to look back to Zent and say, "Bloody signal."
Hold until they kill the officers.
They chose their deaths. They landed here. When they kill the officers, kill as you please. Not, and I hold up my hand, not the other team, just the Zidongans.
The little wire one leans over to you and says, "Why would you challenge the Hawthorne to the duel yet? You're a much better commander than him."
I'm well aware, but we are waiting.
We'd be out there now if we weren't.
I must become a jet first.
You will.
Yes, I will. Now,
We what you command.
are you going to listen?
He does the crossing his lower arms, which is basically a Martian yes. Basically, I say I see to your command.
Good.
And Terrence.
shall we open up for the attack then? All right.
This will be a surprise round, so there's no need to do an initiative at the moment. So go ahead and make me one roll. All you have to you're going to basically use your skills, so you'll need to use the wild die in this case.
Okay.
To start your first attack there.
So just for clarification, I've got a shooting D6 and a shooting D8 for my boys.
Yeah, and go ahead and add your D6 for your wild die into it since you're in command of them right now.
All right, fantastic. I think Moa Khan is going to attempt to open up on that captain if he sees him. With hang on. Oh shit! Come on now. God damn it! I got to get the calculator out. He is starting off the firefight with a bang. As his rifle barks for a 26.
Okay, I'm not even going to require you to roll for that. I'll just say that you have your 3 riflemen line up. All 3 rifles bark almost as one, and you see 3 figures scattered about the ship fall.
Do we take their heads off of their shoulders, or?
These seem to be from your vantage point to be headshots. Of course, at that point, then the rest of the Martians out there obviously go into a frenzy. There's people dying for cover, some grabbing weapons and such, and it seems like you may actually have a commander out there, or at least a possibly a non-com that is fairly adept, because he is starting to get the organization together pretty quickly, as if maybe he expected an attack of some type.
I will hoot to my marksman. Excellent, boys. All right, let's light them up.
All right. So what are the other two groups doing there? Let's go with Fergal real quick. What are you doing, sir?
So I'm imagining that once he's fired, what's the distance to run to that?
You've got a distance of probably about 300 yards from where you guys are to where they are. So for you yourself to actually run that distance, it will not take you very long at all. Of course, you'll outdistance all of your people. But then if they're on flyers, they can probably keep pace with you. Unless you just want to go on flyers. So.
Okay. So at that point, I just do that rally sound, and we just break off into 3 groups and jump on the flyers and begin our.
All right. All right. So you'll be hopping on those things and taking them into the air this round.
Yeah.
All right. Baldric, what are your Green Martians doing?
Well, we're going to do a tactic that we have half practiced, half know by instinct, and that is to pull the attention off of Terrence's group so they don't get shot, and charge in and attempt to intimidate with a war scream.
All right. So you guys break from cover on your throats and start charging toward these guys, whooping and hollering, making as much noise as possible, firing off your weapons toward them in sort of a random area. Go ahead in that case if you're going to be shooting. Are you going to be shooting?
Yeah, we're just trying to intimidate the crud out of them, shoot, just
Okay.
do whatever.
In that case, how about this? Make me, for your group, an intimidation check.
Not a problem. Let's see.
You can use your group's intimidation skill, which I believe the Green Martians do have.
Yes, you wrote it down on there.
Yeah.
Right, one moment. Point 2.
All right. You are definitely drawing the attention there of these guys, so they'll be noticing you guys. So with that, we're going to go on to the first actual regular round of combat. So I will deal here real quick. Let me see here. Let me close some things that I don't need to have open behind here. And we will deal the opening hand of combat. So, very first one. Oh, Ace of Hearts. That will be starting top here. Terrence is on my screen top.
Ooh.
Next is the 2 of Spades for Baldric and the Green Martians. Queen of Clubs for Fergal McGuire, and for the enemy, the King of Diamonds. So it looks like the Terrence's group gets to go first, and then the enemy, and then we'll have Fergal and Baldric. So take it away, Terrence. What's your troop doing this round?
All right. Well, the young Tab Thor and myself, we're going to kind of like half skitter slide, almost like sliding into third base, if you will, down this slope, kicking up a bunch of dust. And once we have sufficient cover, we are going to flick the bipods down on our machine guns, and we will mag dump into that crowd of people.
All right. Are you trying to suppress them, or are you trying to just get as many as you possibly can?
I'll say Terry actually wants to be done with this combat as efficiently as we possibly can. So slaying as much of them before they surrender, if they surrender. Okay. So I mean, yeah, cut them down.
All right. In that case, then you need to want to roll me an attack.
All right. That is Terry has a 24 on his.
Okay.
And we'll say the young Tab Thor goes for a big fat whopping 9.
All right. So you're able to roll me roll me just your damage die, both of you guys.
Oh, what is the damage? Hang on. The damage die is for the Lewis guns 2d8, and that is a 14 and another 9.
All right. You take down 14 soldiers. You see them drop. Not being quite as accurate as you and such, your companion actually drops 5, so basically half of them what they rolled that are taken out of this fight. As you're doing this, you notice that this non-com, since it's their action now, has gotten one of the gun crews up and operating, and is swiveling one of the ship's guns towards your companions, and he is going to fire this gun off. Do I not have a die over here? Hold on just a second. Sorry. It's
The
just
Game
right here, though.
Masters find 200 experience points. For
Oh my gosh, that's an extra 15
Oh.
bennies for all of us.
Yeah, Jesus.
They're all right here. They're all right here. They were just slightly out of reach.
So in that time, Keith, we actually killed them all. What's the loot?
Well, you find an osprey. So, and you're not sure what it is because none of you are actually from that time frame. Now,
Well, shit.
It's
more Martian
fires-
technology. We'll be fine.
he fires this gun toward Baldrick's Green Martians, and the because of the rain of hell that is coming in, he was a bit shaken, and this shot goes wide and high, impacting upon a ridge behind you guys and kicking up a big cloud of Martian dust and rocks. But it's far enough above your heads that none of your Martians don't even flinch. It just seems to bring them on. Let's see. Here we go. Next down, we've got Fergal and his Irish air raiders. You see this gun go off.
How many do they have that I can see on deck at a glance?
You see about 4 per side. It looks like they have one gun crew currently going, and they may be attempting to get another one up. But obviously, the full automatic fire that came in from Terrence's group not only took out several Martians, and also the survivors are extremely shaken and seem to be terrified. So whoever that non-com is doing his best to bring them together. He has that one gun definitely going. They're reloading now.
Okay. So, and I can still communicate via this, as long as I'm fairly close to them, I can talk to them without speaking.
Yeah, you guys aren't going so fast that you can't hear each other at the moment.
Okay. So it's not a telepathic link that we had that.
You probably could actually do basic commands with telepathic links if you wanted to.
Okay. So Shala is piloting, and I tell her, focus on the cannon that just fired. Preserve the ship. Don't, but destroy the enemy. And then, so Parjak, can I split the 3 actions?
You basically, what you can do is you can tell them, like, target an area. I'll say you could probably do 3, yeah, as long as they're not too awful complex.
Okay, yeah, I want them to focus on that crew that just fired that cannon. And the second group, I'm going to say Parjak, who is piloting that ship, I'm going to tell him, focus on the non-com, take him out. In other words, the person down there, and then help us take the ship. And Veor is piloting my ship, and I am going to unleash on the other gun crew that hasn't fired yet, but is at the cannon.
Okay, so if you would go ahead and do me a piloting check for your guys, because I'm assuming you're doing a dive bombing type run. Make sure nobody actually crashes into the ground.
So that's a D8 and a D6, or just the D8?
Yeah, you add your D6 because you're actually in command of them. So
Okay. It's a total of an 8 for piloting.
okay, you're able to keep. You guys are able to do your dive the way you want, and go ahead and do me a single attack, and we'll see how it resolves.
Okay,
So,
and that's at my shooting?
Yes, at your shooting.
Very good. I like that. I like it a lot.
Mhm.
Nice. So I got a 16 on shooting.
Okay. All right. You're able to target that gun, and the secondary gun, your shot hits it, knocks it off of its mount, and it scatters a couple of the Martians who are trying to get the thing set up. The other two shots go in. You see one apparently strike a shell that was being prepared to be placed in the gun, and it explodes, taking out that entire crew. And one shot, you're pretty sure, lands right on the top of the head of the non-com, and he just dissolves in a blue mist.
Ooh.
That leads us over to Baldric, whose Green Martians are charging hard across this hard pan toward this group. As you see this machine gun action taking, just scything back and forth across the front. Then the air assault, the two cannons being taken down, and your Green Martians are starting to worry if they're going to have anything to actually do when they get there.
Ride faster, boys, otherwise they're gonna take it all.
When you get there, you do get there in the into this chaos. So make me an attack, because your Martians are definitely going to attack. They're going to be doing their fighting.
Oh yeah.
And since you're mounted, you do get an advantage of a +2 to your attack. So you use your fighting plus your.
Nice.
Fighting +2.
Yes, whatever you roll, whatever you finish rolling, you add +2 to that for your total.
All right, 1 minute. 7.
All right, you're able to your guys charge in, and in the chaos, it's a bit difficult for you to get a good solid hit on anything, but you do wind up actually hitting something. So give me a damage roll real quick. We'll see how many you take down.
All right, 1 moment. Gotta find the dice for this. $23.
All right. Your first wave, each one of your guys takes the head from the shoulders of a red Martian. And you're able to do the same yourself. You're the blade that you were given on that fateful day that you first set foot in Beltan has finally tasted blood. So the Martians that you see are very much in disarray, and almost immediately now that they're looking around, there's about eight of them left now out of the 30. That you guys basically have just completely destroyed in about a matter of around 6 to 8 seconds that it took you to actually get there. The Martians that are there mostly are cowering and begging for begging for your mercy. They don't seem to actually be possibly even warriors. They could possibly just be technicians or whatever. So, of course, you see this from above there, Fergal, and you can see it through your lens. So, what do you do there, Terrence? This is back. Well, actually, I'm going to redeal this real quick because they are still there. Let me get this over here.
By all means.
Show you what we come up with. All right, once again, share this screen. So Since we had no jokers last time, it's still the same deck. So king for Terrence,
Oh.
jack of diamonds for Baldric, queen of clubs for Fergal, and queen of spades. 3 of clubs for the enemy there. So what is your action there, Terrence?
Did Terry get a good view of Fergal's team turning their non-commissioned officer to a blue?
Oh, I'm
mist?
sure. I'm sure you're able to see that. Yeah.
And Fergal's gonna hear me hooting and hollering from the ground. God!
Okay.
Which might, I mean, if my morale is up, then the boys will be like, "Oh shit!"
Oh, yeah.
It's like, yeah. Then Terry is going to tell his squad to redirect their targets to anyone who's armed, and they'll basically go down the rank ladder. If someone looks more plumed than the other one, take him out. But I mean, being as he'll see that there seems to be non-combatants in this area,
Yes.
he will. And just to clarify, you said that we do have at least a vague telepathic link between.
Yes.
us.
You can actually sense from them what they're thinking in general terms, surface thoughts. You have to actually push it out.
I have to tell them, basically.
Yes, you have to tell them. I mean, you can at this point, because you've been there long enough. They're starting to sort of get the feel of you, but they have to actually get to know you guys a little better than the average Martian to actually understand your mental patterns, basically.
Oh, okay. That's actually interesting. We got to get a feel for each other before you actually. Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, since we're working, have been working very closely with each other, what is the feeling that I get from my English bulldogs, if you will?
They are extremely excited. Are you going to try to get a feel from all of them, all
Oh
three
yeah,
squads?
I will take a few
Okay.
seconds before I act to.
So your squad is extremely well. First off, they're both impressed and terrified at what they just did with the amount of fire that they fired downrange. It was to them scary. They'd seen them in operation, but they never actually seen them turned on other Martians.
Is this their first field test?
Yes, this is the first field test of the fully automatic weapons. They may have fired them on a range, but they have yet to fire. This is the first time they've actually seen actual real action.
Okay.
So you get this from all of them. That this was an awesome sight. The Green Martians love it.
Good. I'm glad.
Okay. From Fergal's group, you're getting this this ecstatic feel of this of the wind blowing through their hair and them literally being death from above. They love this idea of being able to fly over an enemy and fire down on these smaller ships or larger ships.
Can you hear that bass drum right now? Dum 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 dum.
Yes.
There's a lad.
Yeah, and some large guy yelling dive. Anyway,
what I'll do for my action is I'll basically will the empathy to them that just steel yourself, boys. It only gets worse from here, and just stay calm. And we'll rinse and repeat. If there are non-combatants in there, they will be prisoners. Unless the Tharks eat them, of course. I mean, I don't direct the Tharks. I just direct my guys. But if we do,
make me a notice roll real quick for yourself there, sir.
Notice. All right, there we go. Actually, I have a decent notice. Oh shit. Uh, 22 on the die.
All right. With your scanning of this group over there, you've all been sort of drilled on Zidongan military ranks and how to recognize who an officer is and stuff like that by these Beltanese soldiers. The highest rank you can see is the equivalent of what might be a gunner's mate over there at the moment. So there's not really anybody in high enough level to be considered a true officer per se.
If there was, he's already dead.
Yeah, the officers definitely have already been dropped, and so have all their Marines.
Good.
All the ones you see there, they're dressed in the colors of Zidongan's Navy. And they all do seem to be cowering.
I will squeeze off a burst into that gunny there, and I will direct my guys to suppress or outright just kill off the people who are manning that gun. Unless they step away from that gun, they're dead. Or those guns.
One gun is unmounted, and the other gun is currently on fire.
Oh, okay. Well,
so, and there's no one approaching either other gun. Now, thanks to Fergal's guys, they took out basically both of those guns' abilities to operate very quickly.
If that's the case, then we will leave cover, and then we'll just start walking as a line, guns bared, and into their midst.
All right.
And
next,
if I can. Keith, sorry, I'm trying to do a lot in this session. If I can, I'll see if I can catch Fergal's eye or one of his guys, and I'll wave so they know that they know that we're moving in.
Okay. And with that, Fergal, you see one of your folks points down, and you get the impression that he sees Hawthorne waving and breaking cover.
Okay. So at this point, surveying the field. It looks like they're surrendering.
Oh yeah, they're surrendering very, very quickly. In fact, most of the ones who were there never even got a chance to actually grab a weapon.
Okay, so I send out to the other two pilots to descend land on the ship, and let's take the cannons.
Okay.
Don't fire, and so we begin the descent onto the deck, and
all right, you'll be able to get down and land and start moving toward those cannons. No one is opposing you currently. So Hawkins, your Green Martians, they want to kill the rest. Do you allow them to do so? You haven't been given orders not to.
I'm going to hold up my hand for one moment and look at the men. They did attempt to fight. Before you kill them, ask how they want to die, and at least give them that. And then I put my hand down.
I Jed, they say. And the Green Martians refer to you as Jed. They refer to Terrence as the Hawthorne, just so you know. That is their thing.
Yes. Sorry.
Does that make me the McGuire?
Oh, they refer to you as Private Fergal.
Perfect.
So, but they also
little Lord.
Well, it's almost like they refer to you. The private is very much almost as if it's a title. So they treat it as such.
Basically, I'm saying since these guys did attempt to fight us.
Well, you do know that they did say you wanted to have at least one or two prisoners. So.
And I say, keep the smallest as a prisoner.
They grin at you, and they turn and they begin barking orders at the prisoners to come out. And they each get off of their thoats and walk up to one of the Martians, look down at them, and ask them how they want to die. The first two say with honor, in which case they hand them knives and then cut them down. The third one seems to be a little smarter. He says, "Not today," and that is the older scarred Martian that you mentioned before. I forgot his name. I'm sorry. The fellow says that he looks back at you, sort of confused. Like, what do I do here?
Make it last.
He grins, and actually kicks the guy in the hip. You can hear a snap of bones. And he walks away from the guy as the guy's screaming. Before long, you have the one guy who's screaming and a young, what he looks like, maybe he's like possibly like a deckhand or maybe a mechanic, sort of laying there, sitting there, surrounded by these green Martians, waiting for your arrival there, Terrence. And the Fergal's men are down on the deck of the ship and securing it. You don't get really much opposition. You do find one young lady up near the wheel who is apparently hiding up there. So,
Well, women always are taken prisoner.
well,
However, we will treat her with politeness, as is honorable of a man.
okay. Your green Martian look at you and says, "But the red Martians caught her." So
I understand. However, and I look at the green Martians. Do you really want a Zidongan? Who
No.
knows where that has been?
no. They sort of shake their heads and one says, "Look, her hips aren't even big enough for childbearing. They're barely
Exactly.
there. It's a boy."
And I just hiss and say, leave that one for Hawkins. Or not Hawkins.
No, Hawkins
Thorn.
can have her. I mean,
Yeah,
Leave that for the Hawthorne. You know, we got to give him something. And I say that low enough that the others can't hear, but
One
loud
says
enough for my
yes.
men.
You hear one says, "Yes, you should give tribute to your lord like that." Yes. So you secure this. You secure the ship. And
So I would
when you
imagine that
arrive-
we're standing at the cannon right now, right?
Yes.
And I start announcing, go down below, assemble in front of the ship, drop your weapons, or you'll
Okay.
die.
Let me do your six real quick. You see 3 more red Martians come out of the off the gangway from down below decks in the ship. They first start to go down to the surface where the green Martians are, and they turn around and they actually come running up to Fergal and prostrate themselves in front of him and say, "Please take me prisoner." All three are begging for their lives, basically.
So, you don't like green Martians?
One looks up at you and says, "Did you see what they did just now? They'll ask us how you want to die, and they'll make sure it happens now."
Are they armed?
No, they're not. It looks as if one of them has a holster for a revolver, but it's not currently occupied by said revolver, and it's not in his hands.
Okay. Go to the deck and kneel.
Okay, he does that.
Hands behind your head.
Okay, they do that. It takes them a moment to figure out exactly what you're talking about because they're like hands behind my. They do this, so they actually curl their
That's
hands
fine.
down.
As long as their hands are occupied and behind their back.
Yeah, they basically sort of clutch their elbows to their foreheads. So
Okay. I just have a couple of my men keep an eye on them.
okay.
where is Terry in all of this? Are we still on the ground or?
Yeah, you would probably be arriving about this time.
Okay.
Being the fact that you had that, well, you probably could have, if yourself could have ran, but you would have left your squad behind.
I would have
Um,
done what would pass for a Martian jog to
Okay.
keep up with the guys, or I'll let the guys keep up with me.
So yeah, you get there as the as the green Martians finish off the ones they're killing, and have the one fellow who is screaming in pain, whose hip is broken, and the other young guy who hasn't been harmed. So
If he's still screaming,
yeah,
I'll just kind of roll my eyes and kind of like smirk at the ground and be like, I'll walk up to him and be like, "I'm sorry, mate.
The big green Martian says he asked not to die today, so I'm giving him his wish. He'll die tomorrow.
I'll nod to him. Yeah, I get you. I
That
look down
was
at
the-
him in his screaming. I'm like, do you still want to die tomorrow, or?
He clenches his teeth and says, "I don't want to die at all."
Well,
Oh, you notice the one I was standing over him is the one who has the odd little medical pack on his.
I mean, if that's the case, then I'll just kind of like, oh, you'll be fine, and I'll just kind of like nod to the lopsided Red Cross. Yeah, he'll take care of you. And I'll just look up at the Thark.
Yes.
I'll wink
Yeah.
sinisterly, and I'll walk up.
Yeah. He looks down. You see him leaning over to him and says, "I will ensure that you survive the night."
Yeah, Terry walks away with it. Oh yeah, he just keeps walking. What Terry will do is he will go and find their captain, or what's left of him.
Yeah, he's basically you found the body. The Tharks that aren't occupied guarding the there's like two of them aren't guarding. They're pulling bodies together.
I am.
They're
gonna
also
take
making
that
sure that
captain's head.
Yeah, well, they're also making sure that anyone who is moaning is not moaning when they get there.
Right.
They're basically knifing them as they go. Yeah, you found the captain. Yeah,
I'll
his
take
head
his head.
comes off easily. He has two shots through his torso. So.
Okay, fair enough. And I'll see
Is
if
it-
I can catch Moa Khan's eye in the crowd. I'll just toss the head to him and say, "See if you can find yourself a wife with this."
He snatches it out of the air and looks at it and says, "It's ugly."
I know, but it's a trophy.
Well, if I show her, I'm at least prettier than this, and several of the ones laugh.
So yeah, the rest of my
Did he just use sarcasm?
Yes. Yes. They've been around you guys not long enough now. They're actually doing sarcasm and a bit of wit too.
I love these guys already. They can make me laugh. Yeah, I'll find that girl though.
Okay.
I'll take her by the wrist and kind of like drag her off the ship.
She's Fergal's people basically herded her over to where the other three were together, and she has her hands behind her head and the
Oh, there's 3 gals?
gripping. There were 3 crewmen that came from below decks. Once Fergal yelled out, they can't basically surrendered it to him, and there was the one woman. Yeah.
Is it okay for us to loot them?
Yes. Spoils of war.
Okay. All right. So
Spoils of war.
Fergal would be looting everything on the ship. I mean, off the bodies of the people he killed on the ship.
Oh yeah. Well, the Green Marshals are doing it too. The ones that they removed heads from. They're very particular about not touching the ones they did not kill. So, but they are definitely
Captain Saber.
But
yeah.
We also fleeced the 3 that are still
That's
alive.
fine. They're captured as well. They actually belong to you.
Okay.
It's sort of you get the images from the other Martians that anyone you capture is basically your slave. You can set parameters if you wish. Basically, if you ask them that to have them released. Actually, you probably had this conversation at one point with Keel actually earlier in the past few months or past few weeks, not months. That the way Keel wound up, weeks, not months. The way Keel wound up as a servant was she was captured. She was once part of a nomadic group that had tried to raid the refugees before they actually made it to Beltan, and her entire tribe basically was beaten, and then the one survivors were subjugated and put into bondage. And so she actually, they were given the option of once they'd served their time and paid off their debt, that they would be set free again. So, so you could definitely do that with these guys if you wanted to. That would be your, whoever captured them or whoever the commander that captured them would be the one who would make that decision. So
I'll walk up next to Fergal and I'll just kind of like nudge him with my elbow. I'll say, "Hey, was that blue mist you?"
That was actually Modus.
Oh, well.
he was looking very proud of himself.
I'll pick that out and I'll be like, excellent. I like
Grins.
seeing the boys under you, Fergal, show you up from time to time. Just kind of jab him with my elbow. I like play
Yeah, not
him
all too
down.
often though.
Yeah, right.
They're working on it.
Yeah, I'll look at Modus. I'll just wink at him. Well done, mate. But again, more. We want all that. But yeah, I'll walk over to that woman, and I will bow to her and
Okay.
introduce myself. I am Terrence Hawthorne, the Jed of Blackwood, Madeir. You are now in possession of, I will point to Fergal's men. What is the name that we've actually been going by for your squad? You said the Fighting Irish earlier?
I think that we're kind of keen on the Flying Irish.
No, the Flying, yes, your guests are now the Flying Irish.
Mhm.
The first person that calls me a fucking fairy, I'll punch you in the fucking nose.
Again, I am Terrence. These are my bulldogs, and the guys will just kind of like flex a little bit. Yeah, be pretty macho. And I'll lean over the side, see if I can find Baldric there. Baldric, where are you?
What? You see me holding the head?
Well, excuse me. The Hawkins is busy. He'll be up shortly.
You need something, Sarge?
No, I'm questioning this woman up here. As you were, mate. As you were.
Okay. She looks at you, and one of Fergal's people comes out with a couple of bottles of wine they found in the captain's quarters.
Hey.
They start popping it open and start passing it around. The young lady, she's fairly attractive. She may not necessarily be the prettiest woman you've ever seen, but she definitely is not hard to look at.
To Terry, all women are beautiful. So I mean, he's just nice.
She's dressed in the style that you're used to seeing. She definitely is not dressed in the military style. And she says that she looks at you and says, "Mia, if you're pirates, my family will pay well for my return."
Oh, who's your family?
The Cloud family of Zodanga.
Oh, really? Unfortunately, my dear, I'm very sorry. We're not pirates.
And she tilts her head as if that idea had not entered into her mind. She said, "What are you?"
I looked down at my sash and I said, "Actually, I'll look back at him because Terry's not wearing yellow. He's
Right.
made sure all of his boys are not clad in Beltan Goldenrod.
Okay.
We're unmarked, so she's right to think that we're all brigands."
Yeah.
I'll look down at my Union Jack, my sash, and I'll be like, "We're Englishmen."
Englishman. And she sort of leans forward and says, "You're from Jasum, like them."
I grin. Good morning. Actually, good afternoon, my lady.
We're from the better nation, though.
Yeah. See, Fergal's lot here is from Ireland, which is a short swim away from where I'm from. And Baldric, where are you?
What? You now see me dissecting a body.
That voice is from a place called New Zealand, which is a long swim away from where we're from. As you can see, I'm the more handsome
Is
of
a
the
swim similar to a flight?
No, across the water, my dear. Jasum has much more water than your Barsoom does.
I've heard
I
of
think
that.
we got the extra water that was supposed to go here.
Yeah. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's one, and she says, in my quarters, I have something for you, I believe.
For me.
Yes.
I think she a really suspicious.
If you'll escort me, I will take you to it.
I shoulder the Lewis and actually take out my M1911. Like, Khan, would you escort us to the ladies' quarters. And of course, my bush ranger is kind of like,
Oh, yeah.
go for his buck knife. Like, all right.
Yeah, he would definitely have something similar to that. Yes, a utility weapon of some type like that.
You first, my dear.
She
And she's
leads
at
you.
gunpoint this entire time.
Yeah, she very timidly leads you over to a ramp that leads down below the deck, down into the crew quarters, which is. Looking around, you realize the Martian ships all seem to be laid out almost exactly the same plan. It's almost as if they all have the same designs for everyone that they have. And she leads you back to one of the larger cabins inside, and she picks up a box. And she says, "This I was
pull back the hammer on my 1911."
She says, "I was asked to bring this." And she opens the box, and there is a stack of probably 24 pieces of paper. And as you look in English handwriting, there are names.
Would you read those to me?
She said, "I cannot read this language. I was just told to bring it to Beltan and deliver it to the Jasumian sergeant."
You were said those words exact were told to you.
Yes, that was what I was told to do.
I level her with a glare, but I'll take the papers from her.
Yeah. You're getting the impression that she is very much a pretty face, and not a lot beyond that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If you were going to send someone to deliver bad news that you thought
you want someone cute to do it.
You want someone cute who doesn't really realize the kind of danger they're possibly going into, but also, not necessarily going to be a threat either. She seems to be that kind of a face.
I'll take the stack from her.
Okay.
I'll put it on the desk.
Okay.
And
they're all
Moa-Khan is kind of like threatening her with a buck knife too. So I mean, she's
this paper. It's different size than you're used to for notes and such. It's actually tri-folded on each of them. Very nice, crisp edges. You kind of basically it's folded the way that you would have if you were in the trenches writing letter home. The way you always have been instructed to fold it to be able to put in envelopes.
He kind of feels a little bit of comfort from the familiarity.
Yeah.
What do I read here?
The first one you pick up is from a Jack Dawson.
Do I remember Dawson? Do I?
He was a young lad, had a wife and a young child back home. And you open it up, it seems to be a last will and testament.
Oh, Jackie.
As you look through them, they're all basically it's to basically it's addressed to you, and it says that they were instructed to tell you what their dying wishes were. And as you go through, almost every one of them is that.
Okay, when Terry was in France, he had maybe a couple dugouts assigned to him.
Yeah.
Are these my guys from France?
No.
Okay, all right.
No, these are the guys the one that you guys wound up assigned to when you were late getting the ship. So you didn't really know these guys really well.
The faces and other names. Okay.
Yeah, the faces and names for you might know one or two. You've been there for a month or two, so you thought beside them for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, you come to one, and it is from Major Beauchamp, and it is basically the same kind of thing. And at the very bottom, in Latin, he said, the Latin is "Uphold the honor of the king. We die as Englishmen." So basically what he's telling you is that he will die before he gives up any secrets.
Terry actually crumples that last one.
Mm-hmm.
And Actually, you know what? Does he do it? Yeah, he'll the humanist in him comes out, and I mean his eyes well up a little bit, but he forces that back down. And probably one of my lads, Moa Khan, will be there, just like, if he has been with me through basic training, he knows the tenebrous thoughts that are in my mind, and that I lost someone who's probably very, very dear to me, and now he is on edge.
So yeah, he what if as he feels that coming off of you, he'll actually prod the young lady with his weapon. He'll say, "What do you know of this? You know more than you're telling." He seems to be almost protectively defensive about it. And she falls back on one of the couches, raises her hands, and says, "All I was told was to deliver it." And then he sort of narrows his eyes and said, "Why were you flying around out here for a full week?" The word he uses is their version, their term for a week, which is actually 8 days.
Measurement of time their week.
Yes.
I'll just kind of look
says,
up and be like, "She's looking for me, mate."
The captain said we would stay here and someone would come. Someone was supposed to come to pick up the delivery.
I'm just going to look at her, and your family does not think very highly of you.
They have not yet found me a husband. She seems a little old. If she was just literally waiting to be married off, she's a little older than they normally marry off here, just to make little alliances.
In the spectrum of things, is she about a decade younger than me? So she's 19-ish.
She's 21, 22 area. From what traditions you've noticed, most of the young ladies in noble families who are married for political alliances generally are married between the ages of 16 and 19.
Mm-hmm.
So she's a little past that. So,
my dear, you are a Christmas cake.
She gets the confused look on her face.
Moa Khan will probably he gets my sarcasm enough. He'll probably smirk at
that. So you're saying she's a holiday tart?
Yeah. After a certain date, no one wants her. No, she's coming with us. I pick up the chest, or is it just the papers in the chest? Can I cobble them all together?
It's a box actually that is, it's probably about 12 inches wide by about 6 inches deep and 10 inches, front to back.
Is there more in the box?
There's a couple more. There's a total of looks like there's probably one for about 22 men, 22 different ones in there.
What I do is I put everything back in the box, close it, and I hand it to her, and I tell her to march upstairs.
Maybe notice roll with that.
Okay. 10.
Okay, that's a raise.
Oh, all right.
You notice, remember 4 is your target number on these things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's actually pretty easy in some cases.
Okay, cool.
This box, you notice that this is a box that a person in a brigade would carry, literally to carry letters. Basically, it's the box that you guys would, when you write your letters to send them by post.
It's a courier's box. Yeah.
It's a courier's box, exactly. It's one from Earth, and it has the proper markings and stuff like that on it. It also has the Union Jack on top.
Mm-hmm.
Has been scratched out by someone. So they're definitely a bit of they know enough to that symbol is of the British monarchy.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it seems as if this was also a positive message to you that they don't respect you and this Englishman thing.
Oh, of course not. Terry's not surprised at all. So when we get back up to top side, I'm going to roar into the crowd. McGuire, Hawkins, on me now. And I said, the rest of you, see if we can get this case airborne so we can get back home.
So when he first went down, I sent two of my men to check out, see if the ship is flyable.
Yeah, it was actually, it looks like whatever, they come back and tell you whatever they were doing, the ship is currently able to fly. So there was really no real, they were doing some basic maintenance stuff. It wasn't even necessary for them to be on the ground.
So nothing's broke.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope. Okay.
Make me a smarts check, all three of you.
Is this related to munitions?
No, this is just a general smarts check. So,
Okay. So I'm getting suspicious, like they set a bomb on the ship.
maybe. So,
19 on the die.
oh yeah.
Fuck.
15.
All right.
Oh my God. Well, I got 2 6s on the first roll, and then I got, so it's total of a 10.
Okay. You all have at least a raise. You're starting to get really suspicious of this. If this airship is airworthy, it should have been in the air.
Everybody off the ship.
Okay.
I just, no, everybody off the ship. Now. Move.
Okay.
I book
Okay.
it. I probably
Okay.
just jump over the side.
So I'm
Yeah.
going to tell my team to get in the ships, our ships, and fly them safety distance away.
Okay. As you take off,
Moacan still has a hand on the girl, though.
yeah. Oh yeah. He probably grabs her and drags her off with you.
I look at my team, tell them to grab the nearest red Martian and chunk them over the side and jump after them.
Okay.
Attaboy.
Are you jumping a long distance when they get away? Or are you doing the human
Or
jump?
jumping off the side.
Okay, so you're going off the side quite a distance. Okay, they see you and they rally to begin riding away, and it literally within just a second or two of you all leaving the ship, its magazines start going off
Oh, shit.
and blowing up. You're all by the blast are pretty much all knocked to the ground. Actually, I need Fergal's people to maybe a piloting check. So
They're the first ones that Terry thinks of. He looks to the air and he's praying to the God he does not believe in that they get out alive.
So I got a 6 and then a 3, so a total of 9.
okay, you're able to keep. You all guys are able to keep your seats as this. It feels like you just got kicked in the crotch by something, because literally it kicked your flyers up. And you're able to. You might want to do me either a ride check or yes, Hawkins, ride checks for your guys. See if they can stay on their throats. So, because they would have jumped in their throats as fast as they could and took off. You guys are able to hang on because of your piloting checks there, Fergal. So, and I'll have you make a notice check as well as this is going on too, if you would.
Do I go after, do I roll on their ride or my ride?
Whichever's higher, actually. So
Benny
that's a great
spent
thing. Okay. Yeah, don't forget you guys can spend bennies if you think you didn't roll high enough on things. So
5.
okay, that's enough. The throats are panicked because of the boom, so it does take you guys a bit to actually get them back under control. You actually wind up almost exactly back over by the ridge that you came from by the time you get the throats from basically charging away. So your people are sort of scattered over an area there. Fergal, make me a notice check for your people real quick, since you are I see you there. But you notice as you're as you're controlling things there, Fergal notices something flash off in the distance further out on the plain. It's almost like maybe there's been something reflecting out there, but you can't spot specifically what it is. So, but it's something that sort of caught your eye, and then you sort of lose track of it in the heat haze, if you will.
Okay. I'm gonna yell down to take cover. You need to get. It's an ambush.
I order my people back into the rocks then,
Okay.
and my bush ranger probably stuffs her into a crag.
Oh yeah.
Tells her to keep her head down.
As you get into cover, Fergal can see what's coming your way at a pretty high rate of speed. It's one of the large Zidongan battleships. This thing has 20 guns to its side. Yes, and it apparently was lying out in wait for the sign of this thing blowing up. And it has now taken to the air and is actually coming your way. You probably have a minute before it gets within long range of your weapons. But at that time, of course, we'll also be in long range of where you're at.
Well, it's a good thing we're good shots so far.
Okay. Yep, definitely so far. So you guys have a minute basically to get yourself into positions of where you want to be at. If you want to be further up in the air, further down the ground there for Fergal. If you want your people on thoats or dismounted, whatever you want to do. So
do we have a minute to roll stealth to get our men in the thoats into
if you want to do that, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, if you want to do that, you can.
I guess I'm gonna have my men put themselves and their thoats into stealth,
Okay.
and I'm gonna join them, and we're basically gonna take up sniping positions in an attempt to try to shoot this thing out of the air.
Like pretty much every ridge on Mars, this ridge has caves and little niches and stuff all along its edge, so you're able to get the thoats inside of one of the caves and under cover. And your men set up in little firing niches along the perimeter as well. Same thing with Hawthorne. He's able to get his men under cover pretty effectively. So Fergal, what are you doing with your fellas?
Well, we don't have time to land, do we?
You could. So they're about a minute out. So it's possible that they may have spotted the reflection off of your light gathering wings on your small craft. But being as small as they are, they may not have. So it's very much up to you.
I am going to, is there a rise that we can, like a hill we can go back behind?
Yeah, there's a ridge that was nearby where you guys were originally hiding at. You can actually take a land down in there's crevices and little gullies and stuff on top that you could probably put your flyers down in if you wanted to.
Well, what I want to do is go back over the bridge and then just kind of come back so that we can.
Okay, so you're gonna circle around and try to catch it from a different angle. Okay,
yeah,
definitely do that. Yeah, no problem.
And I'm going to take it. I'm going to try to get a good scouting point advantage. Try to see what we're up against, if we can even make that out while we're ready.
Yeah, you're able to, if you send your two other ones ahead and hold yours back a bit, just at the top of the ridge, you can see this large warship. It looks to have, as I said, probably 20 guns per side, and it has chase munitions up front as well. It's moving probably it's moving a good clip. It's sort of hard to tell exactly because of how the Martian landscape being so flat and the size of this thing. It just seems to just keep getting bigger. It's definitely bigger than
combat speed, pretty much.
Probably, yeah. It's definitely bigger than the ship that you guys originally came to Veltan on by quite a bit. And as it's about maybe a half a mile out, it actually rotates to its side, but it's still coming towards you guys. So it's actually moving sideways towards you. And I will go ahead and do an initiative for you guys now again.
So, well, they're having to fly evasively, so they're doing like these weird, they look like leaves on the wind.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna set this thing up for you guys this time here real quick.
Okay.
We still have as of yet to pull a joker, so we're still on the same deck.
Whoa.
All right. Ace of Spades for Terrence. That's the highest card you can get rather than Joker. 10 of Spades there for Baldric. Oh, 2 of Diamonds for the Intrepid Fergal there. And for the Zidongan Battleship, a 2 of Hearts. Now, when in a situation where you have 2 of the same number, in this case 2s, you go in reverse alphabetical order, highest to lowest. So Hearts is actually above Diamonds, so Hearts actually goes first. Spades always go first before that. So basically it's Spades, Hearts, Diamonds, and Clubs. So, Ace of Spades. Terrence, what are you doing in this situation? This ship is probably about a half mile out. It's extreme long range for you as far as your thoughts go, weapon wise.
I'm gonna mutter under my breath to the rest of my lads. I can't hit that from here.
Okay.
Terry has half a mind actually to actually wait until that thing passes overhead. If it does, because he doesn't want to waste ammunition.
Yeah.
He goes to his 2 lads with a long rifle and go, I'm not sure if you can hit that, but can we hold our action, Keith? You
can, yes.
Okay.
Because of the fact that you are the highest action, you can actually interrupt any lower action. So say for instance, if Baldric is about to do something, you actually do something that would actually go right before that.
Okay.
So yes, you can definitely hold your action. Although if at the end of this round, you can't carry it over to the next.
Right.
So, okay. All right.
And yeah, we're gonna hold our action.
All right. Baldric, what are your folks doing down there in their stealth battle area?
I'm going to tell my boys to aim
Mm-hmm.
and keep their aim steady, and I'm going to pray to what I believe in and take a shot.
You want to pop a shot off?
I've done it once before. I can do it again.
Well, what are you specifically going to be shooting at?
Ship.
Just the ship in general?
Specifically, I'm aiming for the most delicate part on that ship is the command bridge, right?
Possibly, but the thing is because of the fact that it turns sideways, the only thing you could actually possibly hit would be the broadside of it.
Right.
You might be able to.
That's basically
Yeah,
what
you might be able to target me. Actually, let me so you can see it real quick a little better. Basically, look at one of the sides of that ship, and that's basically what you can see. You can see the back area, which apparently is some kind of a. You're assuming, with your thoughts of what you've seen on Pulse before, that might be an engine room, maybe, or something like that. And then you have that long tubular side facing you.
I'm going to go for the engine room.
Okay. You start with the engine room? Go ahead and do it. Fire it off for me.
Benny?
Okay.
Keith,
Yes.
is speaking technically a free action, kind of like
Yes.
D20 is? I'm gonna kind of like harsh whisper to our girl, the prisoner, and I'm gonna be like, "Who is captaining that ship?"
She looks close and says, I don't know. I didn't know there were any other Zidongan ships here.
Just rolls her eyes. What do you know?
She starts crying. You were supposed to deliver the box to you. That's all I was told to do.
All right then. Don't get your knickers in a twist. Just relax. We got this.
All right. So what you see is all of you hear the bark of. Are you using your rifle or are you using a Martian version?
I'm using my rifle
Okay.
with the rounds I had in it because I gave my spare rounds to
All right.
the Sarge.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you hear the definite bark of an Enfield 303, the very distinctive sound of it, and you'll see a single figure fall from the back of this ship. Apparently, Hawkins found a target in the back area, possibly the engine room, and took them out. Wherever they are.
Attaboy, Hawkins.
And with that, we go to the Two of Hearts, which will be the ship, and it opens up at being fired upon. And they're just sort of firing indiscriminately. So you guys are going to be suppressed, sort of like basically as if you were saying firing full out of an area. So your actions to do anything while this thing is firing are going to be at a -4. And yes, Baldrick, that will be a called shot of -4. So that action does not actually apply to Fergal because they're moving behind the ridge. So it will take you, I would say, probably a full round to get down to a gap in the ridge further down where you can see. But you can definitely hear this fire going off. You hear this volley firing. And as I said, these guns are probably like 120 millimeter is the kind of what you would equivocate them to what you guys have seen as far as artillery goes. They are packing a major punch. So, and what was left of the scattered debris on the ground is obliterated. So. Yeah.
Shit. Are they moving towards us with that barrage, or are they staying at range?
If you're looking at it, basically, you probably get the idea they'll probably be doing a rolling barrage. That they fired short this time toward the base of the ridge. Their next volley will probably go into the actual ridge itself, which actually might actually hit some of your people that are hiding, if they're lucky. And then the next will probably go to the top of the ridge, if they're following what you would think they would do logically. So.
I'm going to direct my guys down into wherever that gully was that you said was nearby.
Yeah. Okay. Make me a stealth check for your guys. So.
Oh, shit. That is a...
And
21.
All right. So you're able to make it to the gully fairly easily. Although the noise and just the amount of dust that's kicked up into the air makes it hard to even see or maneuver. You, of course, are used to this kind of stuff. This reminds you of the
Reminds me of
every
radio.
trench warfare you've ever been in.
Oh, that too.
And you see your Martians their eyes are wide. This is probably something they haven't actually faced directly.
If anyone catches my eye, I'll just give them a hand wave that says it'll be all right.
Okay.
Terry doesn't move though. He's gonna stay where he's at.
Okay.
Before he does, actually, you know what? I was gonna actually swap my Lewis out for the Martian Lewis with the radium rounds, but no, he'll keep his.
Okay.
He believes that they have better protection and with the superior weapon if he stays in the gully.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, he stays where he's at, and his squad leaves him, which might not sit well with them.
they're okay with it. It's almost that they seem to almost have a relief when you tell them basically to move back the gully. All right, down at let's see here, Fergal. What are you guys actually going to do with that blast?
So,
You guys hear it?
do we need to make a piloting roll to recover?
No. You
Okay.
actually, it's just you guys as you're going around looking for a gap, I guess, to come back through. You hear this this broadside go off back from where you guys were at,
Mhm.
and you get the feeling that your compatriots back there are basically being suppressed under that fire. That they're not necessarily you didn't get any sense of them, any of them dying, but it definitely shook them.
What's the vibe coming off of my team?
They're a bit afraid because you have 3 scout flyers basically mounted with these guns, but that's a battleship. Typically scout flyers run from battleships. So
Typically,
Yeah.
I think to Modus, weakest spot.
Mhm.
And the reason I'm picking Modus is because he's racially, he is
Yeah.
ground in the culture, if you will. This is my
Um,
thought.
He comes back and he says the reflectors, the ray gatherers. If we can hit those, we can cripple it.
What's the material? Is it? I'm thinking to myself, I've seen them, right? So
Yeah, you've seen them. The material looks to you like glass, but it's the same material that on that first night on that one ship there with with the Martians during your feast when Baldric decided to get a little bit rowdy and hit that glass with his bayonet. It's the same material, so it's actually fairly hard. You would have to hit them. You could probably, if you got direct hits on them, you might be able to either knock out the controls because they actually, what you see it on your flyers too. As you move, they sort of move to give you attitude control. As you would think of out of character per se, as an airplane would actually move its flaps to move and such in the air. These do the same thing using light. So if you can actually get a couple of them, you might be able to actually slow their maneuvering. But the chances of you guys actually taking down a battleship with just 3 of you is pretty slim.
But we have to do something because the next barrage could take out our whole unit.
That is true.
Okay, we got to lead them away.
Okay.
So go in there, and the order is to move in a diamond shape. Whatever I call it, the diamond weave.
Okay.
And basically, it's a triangle, but we keep shuffling just basically. But we always stay in somewhat of a diamond shape or a triangle. Well, the closest we can make to a diamond.
The 3 cups as one of them thinks back to you.
But we need to hit them flipping hard because they need to want to try to at least be more interested in us. So, our shooters are going to we're going to target. Let's see, the biggest wing as on the closest side, and just all 3 of us where it connects to the ship.
All right.
Now I have an edge.
Okay.
Well, I also have a weakness or a hindrance of overconfident and stubborn.
That's
I do think that we can take this down.
Okay. But add a Benny to your deal for actually noticing that you're using your hindrance there.
Thank you. All right, so I do have where is it? Steady hands. Firing from the back of a horse or a moving vehicle is tricky business, but your adventurer has figured it out. Ignores unstable platform. So whenever it's I can change a -2 penalty to a -1. So at least I can reduce it by 1? Because we're at a -4, right?
Yeah, because you would be going in. I believe you normally the -2 when you're firing from the back of a vehicle or something like that. So you'd be a -1 in that case. You could actually reduce your penalty to that.
Excellent. Okay.
Yeah, the suppression is only for the ones on the ground because they're the ones being directly fired upon. So,
Okay.
okay.
All right. So we're going to move in that diamond shape, and we're going to target that one wing and see if we can take it out.
All right. Go ahead and for dramatic effect, because I'm not going to make you do maneuvers and stuff like that to get around and take time to do that. Make me as you come over the ridge of this thing and zip past the fellows below. Give me your attack for me.
Piloting?
Attack. You're gunning. You're fighting.
Shooting. Gotcha.
Shooting. Sorry.
Yes, that one.
So my wild card rolled 2 6s and then a 4, so I got a 16 for shooting.
All right, wonderful. So you guys come over this ridge, zipping past the fellows below, and you see as this dust is kicked up from below with these cannon shots from this battleship. You guys fly close enough to fire, and all 3 of your rounds hit. Pretty tight grouping. So roll me a d12, if you would, please, Fergal. So I'll tell you what you get on that. A 1.
No, I got a 12.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
Whoa!
So that's good. Luckily, damage doesn't explode in this. You definitely see the rounds impact all together in that area, and that one wing, it's basically goes flat, and you see the battleship lists slightly, but as you buzz by, you notice that the cannon inside that they're actually working with, apparently their breeches they spin. They're actually unscrewing them, so they're add another round and screwing them back in. You've actually seen this in some older cannons from back in the home defense areas in Ireland and England before. These are some of the stuff that was used like around the 1880s back in England. Of course, obviously, the technology has definitely advanced since then. But it's going to take them at least probably another 6 to 10, if they're fast, 6 to 10 seconds to actually reload. So, but then as I said, at this point, the ship stops and just sort of, wobbles a little bit. And you're also seeing some people pointing as you go by on the ship. So, all right. Go ahead.
And I give them the middle finger as we're flying by.
Attaboy.
There you go. All right. So let me get this. Of course it did. My rechargeable mouse just said, I want to be out of charge now, but I'm back up. So we're all good. Seamless motion here. All right. So we're going to the next round here.
Yep.
And we have yet to draw a joker, so we're still in the same deck. We've got an 8 of clubs for Sergeant Hawthorne, 10 of hearts for Baldric Hawkins, 3 of diamonds for Fergal, and a 5 of spades for the shipboard Zdongans there. All right, that will be put Hawkins first. So what is Hawkins doing?
You said the ship is listing, right? Due to the wing being taken out?
Just a bit. You see it sort of, it's almost like as you would see a ship sort of hit a bump, and the deck sort of cants just a bit. Just enough to notice that it's actually happened.
Is that command center at all visible?
Yes, you possibly could hit it, but it's going to be a very difficult shot.
My men have been aiming, and we're ready for this.
All right. So they have been aiming. So that means they get a +2 on their action this round for attack.
Oh, we're taking that shot at the command center.
All right, so take a shot at the command center. Roll me that shot.
And as we take this shot, I'm going to say to them in what little I have learned of their language, no mercy. Kill them all.
So what you're going to wind up having is an offset total of a -2.
Okay.
Because it's a -4 to hit it because it's a very difficult shot, but then a +2 because you've been aiming.
What? Repeat that.
-4 because it's a difficult shot,
Okay.
but a +2 because you've been aiming. So thus a cumulative -2.
All right. Point 2.
22. All right. So you fire. All you guys fire as one. You see a couple of them skip off the top of that of the superstructure on the outer edge. The sparks from those rounds, but 4 of the rounds definitely go into the command center. You really can't see what happens because the command center itself, the glass around it, is highly reflective. But you do know you definitely hit it. Whether or not you actually hit the commander or the helmsman or what, you're not 100% sure. So, but definitely a hit there. Next down we have Hawthorne. Sorry, Hawthorne is next with your 8 of clubs.
Are they moving towards us, or have
They are
been?
moving. Yes, they have been. They're actually, after that one shot from Fergal's people, they've actually slowed their motion sideways. And then, of course, as that side dipped, you just saw this shot go off from the Green Martians into the command deck. But yes, they are still slowly moving towards you.
Terry will actually kind of have a tiny little personal yes when he sees that there's a bit of penetration through that armor. He's going to have his boys with the long rifles do the same, but we're going to try and harass those gun teams.
Okay.
Terry can't, or see, Terry doesn't want to waste any ammunition. If he wants them to actually get closer, so he can mag dump into whatever wings that are exposed from the underside. His plan is to hopefully get them on the ground so we can actually storm this thing. But okay. My boys are going to harass those gun teams, like I said.
Okay. All right. Okay. You make your shot, please. Your shooting roll.
That is an 11.
All right. Roll me damage for it.
And the Enfield. What's the?
It's 2d8.
That's 2d8. Okay, cool. All right, that's a 10.
All right. You see the shot score hits on gun crews. Doesn't actually stop them, but it does slow them down as individuals drop here and there. Right. The crews that you see at this point, you're able to see individuals because as you're getting closer, they're obviously well drilled. You know, someone drops, someone steps in and takes over. They have people dragging the wounded back and such. As they get there, as that happens and such, you also see that going to what you can only really call the rails on the upper deck, you see a line of figures sort of pop up there with long rifles, and they fire a volley down on you guys.
All right. And
they score hits around all of you, but they don't quite roll high enough to actually hit anybody. It does, it does keep the dust up around you and chips of rocks and such, and but it's not actually going to hit anybody. I was going to roll a freaking 3.
Good. Damn it.
All right, and to the next round.
I don't mind.
Yeah.
To the next round here. I know. They like you. So the next round,
Good.
no
Right.
jokers yet. So 6 of clubs to Hawthorne.
Woo.
King of spades to Hawkins.
Get him.
4 of diamonds to Fergal. Sorry, Fergal, it's just been bad luck drawing here. And 7 of diamonds to the Zidongan Battleship.
Watch
So-
that Joker's gonna pop when we don't
Yeah.
want it to.
So King of Spades, that would be Hawkins. So they just fired upon you. You can definitely see these guys up along this upper deck, and the ship itself is starting to right itself again. So you don't really have a shot at that command deck anymore.
All right then. People it is.
Okay.
And again, no mercy.
Okay.
And to the men, I whisper, each kill brings glory, each kill brings riches.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the faces, take the prize.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I expected to explode, but I'll take it. 14.
All right. All the big Green Martian rifles bark, sitting there, their projectiles up at the rail. Roll me that 2d8 real quick.
11.
All right. You actually, one of the shots hits something important up there, possibly an ammunition stash or something like that, and explodes. A couple of shots hit direct on their targets, but that explosion knocks a total of about 8 more down. So you actually got 11 of them with that volley of shots. And that brings us down to them at the 7 of diamonds. They have gotten their cannon reloaded, and they're going to fire again at the side of the mountain. All right.
Let's hear it.
They're going to actually score a hit.
Oh.
Let's see here. Let me see what they can do here real quick. Actually, it's that one.
I suppose Terry is probably the one that's most exposed, however.
Yeah, and you are going to be shaken
That's fine.
because being a wild card, your first attack on you is causes a shaken state and doesn't actually cause the actual damage.
All right.
But you are actually thrown from your feet as one of these shells lands not too far from you. So you're basically in a situation of being down, and you're going to have to get out of that state before you can actually do an action yourself.
It's like a shell, a German shell went off near me in the trenches. My
Right,
ears
yeah.
are ringing, and there's this.
Yeah, your ears are ringing. The breath's been knocked from your lungs. The slam of it actually makes part of your body go numb, as if you've been hit just like by just a massive wall of air, basically. Vision's probably a little blurry for a moment from all the dust and whatnot around it. You really can't see where your guys are, and they're sort of they're going to be because the psychic connection you guys have, they'll have this is one of the negative side effects of the whole thing. They feel that fear because it's so that visceral, animalistic fear that everyone gets when something like that happens. So they're going to be, you're going to have to actually get them unshaken along with yourself there. So, of course, the next action is yours. So you can actually spend a penny if you want to just delete that shaken state and get up and take your action as normal.
Of course. I will spend that Benny to remove that shaken state, but before he does, Terry, and this is a little bit of the mental illness attached to my character. He kind of revels in that. we almost died. That shell, the falling dirt, the adrenaline, the lack of air in your lungs. And he just takes a deep breath, in, and out again. He'll spend that Benny, and then he'll jog, actually haul himself to his feet and jog, probably a little gingerly, to that gully there. And the feeling that should wash over my guys is kind of like a monster under the bed kind of feeling, where I'm like, as I jump down into the trench next to them, Terry is calm. Terry's a little dirty. He's got dirt like crushed, or excuse me, Martian red sand crushed into the side of his face because he just face planted. But he checks his Lewis, makes sure everything's still there, and gives himself a quick pat down. And he just kind of looks very calmly, very serenely at his boys, and just smiles. Last thing he says before is the end of his action is, once they get closer, take out those wings, and he'll
they all nod. And, they get that exultation that they get from you with that the fact that their commander just took, in their minds, a broadside from a Znungan battleship and grinned at it. Just gives them this little boost of confidence in their own ability.
Wow, what is this guy made of?
Okay, now back to Fergal. First thing I want you to do, Fergal, is make me a notice check.
Okay.
Because you are airborne.
Okay, so I got an 8. So it was a 6 and a 2.
Okay, you notice off to the, because that is a raise, off the direction, but basically where behind your guys, so past the ridge, you see another glint of light that direction. Looks similar to the one that you saw when this one was approaching. So you're fairly certain you have yet another battleship approaching the area. So, but it's a little too far out to actually see any colors or anything on it. Go.
Oh, dear Lord. Quick decisions. I've got 2 of them. All right, I'm still feeling my blood's up from the fact, so my feeling right now is excitement because we just damaged it. But then they feel the rush of anxiety because I'm not sure what to do at this point.
Okay.
I just look at him and say, "Let's have some crake." He goes, "We're boarding the ship." We start flying directly toward
Oh my God.
the command deck, and I want to just unload on the command deck.
Okay.
So I'm going to roll a Benny because
Okay.
actually that won't matter. Well, it's
Well,
a reroll.
Yes, reroll. So yeah, spend a Benny, reroll. So
That's a lot better. So total of a 7, no raise.
okay. You're able to get a hit on the command deck. Go ahead and roll me a D12 for damage in those big guns. There's a different scale for the big guns, just so you know. You're actually 3. Okay. You hit the shells hit the command deck on the top, and you see the explosions of the impact. Doesn't seem to do a whole lot of damage, but you definitely got their attention. So,
Did it punch any holes or anywhere we can?
you see, didn't punch any holes or anything as you fly over it, but you definitely see that the armor, basically the armor on the top has dents in it, basically. So yeah, it's but basically you're just below the threshold of actually doing the actual damage to it. Sort of like,
Right.
like your toughness. The ship has a toughness as well. So,
Right.
so yeah, but you definitely hit it though. You got their attention. So were you going to jump off and try to land, or are you going to land the ship, the actual flyers you have on the actual boat itself?
I'm going to jump off.
Okay. All right. Make me a, let me see. I guess that would be either like an athletics or a jump or just an agility check, I guess it would be.
Yeah. So I got a total of a 10. That was one raise, or a 6 and a 4. So I guess that's a raise.
Yes, with that raise, you're able, as you jump off, you fall to the and actually land on top of the. Are you going for the command deck?
Yes.
Okay, you land on top of the command deck. No one seems to be looking your way right now, but you can see below you. The top of the command deck is actually like a flat metal, looks like metal or plastic or whatever the heck it is. And you see around the edges this glass material. You can definitely see that on the side towards your people there are some holes punched in that, and you can see down in below you see there's blood on the deck, so someone definitely got hit. But you can see people moving around and such down below. There looks to be a hatch maybe that's toward the back of the command, the top of where you're at, that you can probably move to and probably force open. So, and we'll do that next round.
Okay.
So, all right. So going back to the initiative deal. All right. We have yet to have a joker. I know there's a joker in here because it's in there somewhere. So first we go for Terrence Hawthorne, 4 of clubs.
Oh yeah.
4, Baldrick Hawkins.
Oh
Jack
yeah.
of clubs.
Oh, shit. Nope, Jack. Excuse me, not Joker.
That's
I
not
got
a joker yet.
excited for you.
Or Fergal, a 5 of hearts. And a 4 of spades for the Zidongans. So first off, Hawkins. This thing is, just so you guys know, this ship is probably 50 feet off the ground at this point. It's been sort of like lowering itself down to get a better shot at the ridge. So that gives you, and you all saw Fergal fall on the top of this thing. So
it's 50 feet off the ground, right?
God, that
Yes.
man is crazy.
We have made jumps before, like really.
Oh, yeah. You're pretty sure that you could possibly make this jump yourself. Your Martians can't, but you probably could.
I'm going to look at my men, tell them, take out whoever shoots at you. And for the glory of your Jed, jump onto the freaking ship.
All right, so you go lunging out there. Make me a strength check because this is a jump up.
I'm not leaving Fergal alone. You know, we got to stick together.
Yeah.
$11.
All right, you easily make in 2 bounds. You leap out, hit the ground, and launch yourself up, and come down on the nearest superstructure. You actually land on the deck next to some very astonished Martian gunmen and gunners that are very quickly trying to reload their weapons. What do you do?
Throw them off the ship.
You gonna throw somebody off the ship? All right. Make me a fighting check.
Pulling my gun would be an action. Pull my sword would be an action.
Oh
Easiest
no,
problem.
you don't have to worry about that. All you have to pull your weapon or something like that. All you do is take a -2 for that action.
In that case, you know what? I'm just going to go after them with my sword.
Okay. All
Proper
right.
Green Martian way.
All right. So you're gonna go have to get out with your sword. Okay. Make it's still a fighting check. Or is it?
Get him.
Yeah.
Get him. Come on, Blinks, you got this.
9.
That is you do connect. Roll me some wonderful damage. And you get to find out what happens when a Jasumian actually hits with damage with one of these Martian weapons.
Oh, yeah. Get him.
This is going to be pretty.
I hope it's going to be pretty for your sake. Come on now.
Remember, these don't explode.
Oh, what?
Dang it.
What? Ah.
These do not explode.
That would be a double explosion.
Okay, what's your total?
22.
Okay, as a human from Earth on Barsoom, when you guys are meleeing, you double your damage
As well we
because
should.
of the strength. So you literally carve this guy. Well, actually, tell me what happens to this fellow that you just did that to.
I look at that guy reloading, draw my sword, and cut up. Just
Okay.
originally meaning to go after his arm and just cut him
Mhm.
straight in two.
Okay.
Blood
So
showers
you're-
everywhere over me, over the sword. And as the sword comes up, I look right at the next guy and just smile.
All right. You literally it felt like your blade was passing through a stick of butter, and it was very, very hot. So as your blade cut through him. So yes, you do see that wonderful display there. Look at this real quick. All right. Okay. The fellow you're looking at past him has a very shocked look in his eyes. All right. Next down, we have at 5, we've got Fergal.
Okay, so it looks like the best way in is this portal
this
looking
hatch.
thing.
It's
Okay.
basically like a little square hatch. It's got a handle on one side. It's probably locked from the inside, but you can grab it and try to pull it up.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to pull it up.
All right, give me a strength check.
D8, D6. So I got a 4.
All right, you pull on it, and you feel whatever's holding it down give a little bit, but you're gonna have to probably pull on it really good and hard to get it up. So what you do is you can spend the rest of your action this round opening the hatch if you want. Basically, you have to take on it a couple more times to actually get it pulled fully open.
Right.
So, all right. So, but yeah, you do definitely feel it coming loose there. Next, we have the 4 of spades, which goes before 4 of clubs, which is them. And the one that for Baldric Hawkins there, the one fellow in front of you who just saw you do that, he fires at you with his rifle. So,
Ooh.
which is going to be hit, which means you'll be shaken.
Ooh,
Death or glory.
So yeah,
that's
the
our
rest are going to be firing down towards the ridge line there. I should say there. Just from that, and they hit a lot of ground, but nobody on the ground itself. So they're just having a horrible, horrible time. Before we go to the next step there, though, because of where you're positioned, Baldric, and because you just got shaken, I want you to maybe a notice check.
notice check.
Yes.
Alrighty. Pull it up real quick. 5.
All right. It's enough for you to notice this as you're literally sort of brought down to your knees by this shot just grazing the side of your face, leaving a hot. You're not sure if the actual bullet hit you, or if it was just the sort of the displaced air off of it. You're not sure if it sort of shook you a little bit. Because your head went to the right-hand side, looking back over at the ridge, and you see coming over the ridge, rotating, another ship equivalent in size to this one, presenting its broadside, and you see its colors are red, whereas this one's blue. and you can see gunners lining up a shot. So the only reason I didn't give Fergal a chance is I'm assuming he's focused on the hatch. And for your position on the ground there, Terrence, you actually can't see it yet. Okay.
So you're saying the shadow of the other ship
yeah.
has not passed over me yet?
Not yet.
Can I? Okay, let me ask you
okay.
this: Can I hear
Yes.
the engines hum?
You hear it's.
Can I roll a
Your
notice?
guys can. You can't because your ears are still ringing. But your guys
well,
can,
never mind,
and you're
yeah.
getting a sense of them. Hey, what's that?
I'm going to start looking around.
Okay.
Ears are probably ringing.
Yeah,
All
right.
of our ears are ringing right now.
All right.
I'm
So
gonna,
yeah.
I'll turn
Okay.
around and when I finally
All
see it. I'm
Okay. Yeah.
going
You see
to
it
look
above you.
on in horror at it at the red heraldry, and then I'm going to look back at the Zidongan fleet, and and Terry thinks his guys are going to die. I mean, because he valiantly, as soldiers of the British Army, death or glory, they are the living embodiment of the Tommy. They boarded that ship, and now there's going to be another ship in that broadside. Terry,
Yes.
he wanted to board the ship with them and join his comrades, but now he's stunned.
Okay. So
what he will do is he will direct his guys to aim for the Zidongan solar fins.
okay.
If he can possibly, his mind is racing. If he can possibly think to subdue the ship and bring it down to the ground so the heliumites don't shoot her down and possibly murder his two guys, his comrades. That's all he's thinking about.
Okay.
What do you want me to roll?
Just roll attack.
Okay, so
roll your shooting.
well, for them. Oh shit! Actually, for my red Martians, that'll be a 17. For me, that'll be, oh my goodness, that's 2 12s and an 8. Holy crap! A 36 for me.
All right. You guys are able to target your fire, and since you're able to actually use your full auto, I'm assuming you do that.
Yeah, I am dumping what's left of this magazine,
Okay.
a good like 80 rounds.
All right. And you dump that into that one wing strut.
Yep.
And you guys shoot through it to the point that it actually falls. It doesn't fall completely off of the battleship, but it definitely droops down and like it's like control cables and such are what's actually connecting it to the ship now.
Okay.
The actual physical structure isn't holding it there anymore. And you see the ship itself wobble in the air as that happens.
Oh shit!
At that point, the heliumite ship opens up with a broadside.
Oh.
So,
good luck, guys.
the shells burst through because of how close it is. The shells burst through those decks around you. I'm going to put it into your guys' hands. I need Hawkins and McGuire to make me an agility check each. So, that is, if Hawkins wants to spend a penny to not be shaken. So.
I'm out of bennies.
Oh, okay. All right. So, what did you get there, Fergal? 4? All right. You are able to, as this ship rocks violently from this barrage, you are able to hold on to this hatch as this ship it's just knocked back by whatever titanic forces just impacted it. Hawking, since you weren't able to actually make a roll, well, you can make a roll, but it'll be -4. So what did you get as a roll?
-4 on the roll.
Yeah.
One moment.
Okay. Because you're basically sort of staggered.
-3.
Okay. All right. So as this volley slams into the decks, you find yourself slammed up against this rail and flip over it and are falling. So roll me an agility check to see if you can get your bearings.
All right. Bad time to be out of bennies.
Yeah, it is.
At least from Terry's view, his heart stops in his chest. Like, I see a body fall.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Oh, there's several bodies falling.
I mean,
But there's one specifically that's not
I look
red
at the
skinned.
white one. Fine. I look at the white one falling.
Yeah. Okay.
Lynx.
What did you roll?
Yeah. Snake-eyed it again.
Okay. You fall to the ground. You see yourself spinning in the air, and you can't know what's up and down. And then then everything goes black. You see Hawkins hit the ground in a puff of dust, and you can't tell if there's movement down there or what. And then we're back to the next initiative. Yeah, I'm going to deal Hawkins out of this one because Hawkins is not currently active. All right. So first we have Hawthorne, who is at 10 of clubs.
Okay.
We've got Fergal, who's at 5 of diamonds. We have the Heliumite ship, which is at 3 of hearts. And we have 9 of diamonds for the Dongans. I'm going to put them over here. So 10 of clubs. That would be Hawthorne. What are you doing, sir?
I direct my boys to continue trying to bring down their solar fins, and I leave the trench. I
Okay.
run with every ounce of my prodigious Earthman strength, and I am standing next to, or actually kneeling next to my comrade. Probably that next second.
Yeah, you can get there in a very quick one bound down and one bound out. You see Hawkins laying there. Luckily, the first thing you notice is that his chest is still rising. He's obviously knocked out, but he looks banged up. He does not look in very good shape. You don't really have the medical expertise to know if he has internal injuries, broken ribs, or what.
Can I attempt to look him over?
Okay. You do notice that the arms and the legs don't seem to be broken.
Good.
But
how about his spine or his? Well, if I move him, he'll tell me.
He's not laying in a twisted way. You've seen guys lay who've had their spine broken from the shell or whatnot, but definitely unconscious. It's hard to say what specifically. You also notice that as you hit the ground, that the Green Martians have basically they've charged out towards where your position is and are firing upwards as they go. All but one.
Who's the one not firing?
He is reaching over around his back for that lopsided Red Cross bag. From charging out for his Jed, basically.
With that, does his pelvis look iffy?
It seems, as you feel around and such, you don't seem to feel any kind of broken bones. It's miraculous.
What he does is he kind of like gives him like a brief pat down. If that's the case, then if I don't feel anything off, he's going over my shoulder and he's going back in the ditch with me.
Okay. They the Green Martians are going to be covering your retreat as it is.
Yep. He's going over my shoulder.
All right. So at 9, we have the Zidongans who are going to fire another volley towards this time towards the Heliumite ship.
Good.
And they hit it pretty hard. You do notice, though, that of the 20 guns they had before, you only see 15 fire this time. So apparently some of them are possibly out of commission. Of course, Virgil, you feel the shock of that volley going off from your side as well. You also notice that the Zidane ship is starting to attempt to move away, as if it's possibly trying to disengage. Back to Fergal. You are up on top of this command deck with an open hatch.
All right, so I would imagine with all this jerking around and stuff, he actually helped him get it up, but he was a little bit. He was actually being dragged by it a little bit. So he kind of used the momentum to swing himself around and land inside the command deck.
Okay.
How many are in there?
You land, and there's about at least 10 on this command deck of officers and such. There's a helmsman. There is a body lying next to the control contraption that obviously had been shot. There's another fellow off to one side who's injured. And there's a fellow that looks to be the commander who is at the front giving commands. Apparently, with all the noise and such going on, they did not notice their hatch was ripped open because no one's actually looking at you right now. So there's about 10 or so active.
So the commander has his back to me.
Oh, everybody has their back to you.
Okay. I am going to...
I sent you a message, Dave.
Well, I didn't actually... Unfortunately, I didn't pull the hatch off, right?
Well, that's your opinion.
You've got your short sword that was given to you. So.
That's true.
Sorry.
Get him, man.
Laughing at links.
So, knowing he's picked up some things, and Dwyer's not dumb.
Yeah.
He may not be book smart, but he sees this commander, and he just runs up, pulls his trench knife, and then goes to grab the guy by the... Does he have hair?
Yes, he has hair.
All right, he's going to jump up and just sort of drive it into the back of his spine and where is his heart?
You think pretty much their heart is basically about the same place that humans' hearts are. Okay. The physiology is remarkably similar.
So I'm going to grab him by the head and just bury this trench knife into his, trying to reach all the way through.
Okay. All right. Make me a fighting attack. And you get a +2 because he's not aware of your presence.
Very good. I like this. And this counts as fighting, so
yes,
even better.
You got this, mate. Get him.
Yeah. Total of 21 so far. Let me just check my edges, though. Okay. Nope. Just going for it then.
That is going to be a total of, because his, yeah, okay. So 21, that is going to be, 8, 12, 16, 20. So that is 4 raises. So you roll your strength plus your damage die for your trench knife plus 4d6.
Wow. I like the sound of this. Trench knife is...
And you're basically charging forward as you're doing this, right? You're using your minimum to give it extra oomph. Okay.
You said 4d6?
Yes, because each raise gives you a d6 damage addition.
Okay, so I'm rolling the strength and the 4d6.
And plus your trench knife should have I think once it has a d4 or a d6 for it.
d4.
Okay. So now add them all together. These don't explode.
23.
All right. You hit this guy with such force that you literally drive your hand through him.
Oh yes.
You don't just hit him with your weapon. You actually drive your hand through him, and you and the
Snap
body.
his head back
Oh yeah.
because of the
You-
force.
Yeah, you literally drive him forward. You take him off his feet as your momentum pushes you against the front glass, slams up against it. The glass itself cannot withstand the weight, and you actually blow through it with his body.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
So you find yourself in space falling at this point. So make me an agility to see if you can land yourself properly.
Can I spend a Benny to say I held on to something?
You can make an athletics check and see if you can grab it. Something. If you get 2 raises, I'll give it to you.
Ooh.
And you keep spending bennies until you run out, or until you do it.
No, I got a total of a 6.
Okay. You reach out for something, and your hand just barely misses it. And you find yourself falling to the ground. So maybe an athletics check to see if you can land.
Gentlemen, it was a pleasure playing with you this evening.
I'm gonna spend a Benny to reroll.
Oh shit! Dave, are you out of bennies now?
I think didn't I get an extra one? You started
Yeah,
with
an
3
extra one earlier,
so
so
I
yeah.
should still have 1 left.
Whew.
Now it did it.
Okay, there we go. Oh.
All right, so a total of 15. That was 2
right.
6s and a 3.
So you're able to land without any problem. Actually, with your arm through this guy, and as you hit the ground, you actually hear a gurgling noise, and you realize that this guy is staring at you as his spine has been broken, his lungs have been collapsed, and his last breath is now gasping out on your arm. So
I actually vomit right on top of him.
okay.
I mean, considering
Yeah,
my age,
you didn't expect this. Yeah. You
and at
didn't
the
expect
yeah, I'm just forcefully vomiting on him.
Keith, just for cinematic purposes, can he have landed like 20 feet into my left?
Yes, that's fine.
So,
Yeah.
So I look up again, eyes wide.
Yeah.
Baldrick's over my shoulder, and I'm like, oh, "Fuck these two!" And I just start
Yeah.
limping over there,
Yeah.
like, "Oh."
Um,
I'll pat Fergal on the
okay.
back, like, "Oh, let it out, lad, let it out."
you can see above this Zanagan warship limping as it's as another volley from the heliumite ship fires into it. And the first thing you notice is that they shouldn't be able to fire another volley that quickly if their technology is similar.
Mm-hmm.
It was boom and then boom. And they actually fire a third volley not too long after that. And the as that ship moves off, and it is definitely listing to one side. You did some serious damage as foot soldiers to a battleship, and you have its commander, Spotty. And the rest of Fergal's troop comes down and lands. And that one fellow that you're always looking towards the older fellow that knows so much about things. I forget his name off the top of my head. He goes walking over to you. Yep, that's the one. Looks down at the body that's now covered in breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
Looks at your arm covered in Martian blood up to your elbow, probably past it. Looks up at the ship and he says, "Where are they going with your ship?
I
You
don't
just
know.
killed the captain, right?"
We need to go take it. So I start wobbling, but I'm walking over to
Okay.
the ship.
Well, it hasn't landed yet. They're
Okay.
trying to run.
Yeah,
No, I'm talking about your flyers.
Oh,
I'm gonna go
yeah.
take over my ship.
Okay. The heliumite ship goes to sort of give chase, and you see a launch from it. and starts heading down towards you guys. Baldrick's Green Martian medic is strapping bandages around him wherever he can.
Is he actually harassing me when Baldrick's on my shoulder?
Yeah. Literally, he's like as you're holding Baldrick, he's like trying to get to a leg and bandage it. And
I put my pistol in his face. I put my pistol in his face and I tell him to fuck off.
He backs up. He says, "But the
I will shoot you in your fucking mouth. Back off."
Yes, Hawthorne. Yes, he backs off and holds all four arms up. Crosses. He tells to upper arms up, lower arms crossed, as they're like that. The helium out launch lands.
Just him on my shoulder.
And a couple people come off, and when you hear someone yell out, and you get the image of one, if you have any injured that need assistance.
I'm gonna lay Baldrick on the floor or on the ground, and I'm gonna go into my satchel. I'm gonna take out my last cigarette, my last one, and I'm gonna screw it into the side of Baldrick's lips, and I'm gonna light it for him.
Okay.
And he's not going to hear me. He's not going to hear me, but I'm talking to him the entire time. So I'm like, I light him. Like, I give you a lot of shit, mate. I'm not, and I'm sorry. There's like a quiver in his voice. He goes, strike the match. And I light the cigarette for him. Like, I put my hand, my hand on his shoulder, and I'm like, if you die on me, I'll kill you myself. And I don't care how that sounds. Just don't. And I take the cigarette out and I smack him on both of his cheeks. I put the cigarette back, and I look at the Thark that I just threatened. I'm like, now you may administer to him.
All right, Hawkins. As you're laying there, you're sort of drifting wherever it is you're drifting at. If you want to describe it, go ahead and do so. That we have to give you the appropriate time for that.
With the cigarette there.
Yeah.
I'm drifting in a field of wheat. Just lots and lots of wheat. Running through my fingers. Smells oddly of tobacco.
Yeah.
But it's very pleasant. Hear people singing in the background. Sounds oddly Roman, but
that's as you're seeing this and you're feeling this sensation, you start smelling the cigarette smoke. You take a deep breath of this fresh air and you cough. You see him physically cough.
Unfiltered Marlboro Red right there. Long one,
and
too.
You find yourself the field around you basically dissolves into a bright light that then sort of encompasses you, and your eyes pop open to see Hawthorne kneeling over you. Your Green Martian friend that you've been teaching medical is standing off to one side, holding his crude scalpel and a roll of bandages, looking at you as if trying to figure out where to cut first.
I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Scalpel is only for surgery, mate.
Oh! And he puts that away. You hurt. Your hair hurts. Your eyelashes hurt. You're pretty sure your eyelids are bruised. And
metacarpals feel like sand got in them.
Yeah. So, and you look over, you see Fergal literally half covered in Martian blood. His arm is coated in it, literally coated in it, and he's got a little bit of vomit on his harness.
Are you all right, mate?
You talking to me?
Yeah. You're the one covered in blood.
Yeah,
You're the one who took a tumble.
Flyer, and I said, "Yeah, I got a ship that I need to commandeer." I'm glad you're back.
Mm.
You took a hell of a tumble there.
50 feet, 60 feet, new record.
Yeah, I don't think you could survive another one if you wanted to. You enjoy
let's not try that again.
You enjoy that smoke, mate. You earned it. I'll pat him on the shoulder.
At that
Ow,
point,
ow,
the
ow,
Heliumites
ow,
arrive
ow.
where you
Oh,
guys
excuse
are
me.
at. The Heliumites arrive where you're at.
I'll walk up and I'll
Okay.
find the highest ranked one.
Okay, there's a person who has the rank insignia gives him the rank of a commander, who is basically just one step below their admirals there.
Okay.
So they're a little bit different. He sees you, and he sees the fellow down. He says, "Does your associate need assistance? We have good medics with us. We are familiar with Justinian physiology."
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
yeah. He's gonna need it. He
Okay.
fell. And by the
We
way,
saw.
I point to the listing, Zidongan Dreadnought there.
Mhm.
We did have it under control. Thanks for the kill steal.
He laughs, and he said, "Of course you did." But
Is that
No.
a challenge?
oh no, the way
That's
the
some
way
shit
he
talk I hear.
says it, the way he says it is more of a yes, yes, of course you did. It's not as if it's like
Terry's-
it's a challenge. It's like I assume you're saying this is true.
Okay, I was gonna say because Terry's adrenaline is up. He almost just
Yeah.
blasted him right
He
there.
he motions a couple of his people to go Hawkins, and Hawkins, you find a very, very pretty young lady kneeling over you that has the oddest pink skin.
Oh.
So
Hey, pretty lady.
she says, "Where does it hurt?"
Everywhere you can reach.
Right here.
He starts checking you over, and she pulls out a water bottle and holds your head and asks you to drink a sip real quick. It does make you cough. Just the action of it. It seems almost like that was maybe a diagnostic tool of some kind.
Mm.
And she starts going through and pulling out a kit that has all kinds of vials and bottles and packets of stuff. And she pulls out a packet of white powder and mixes it into a small cup that she adds the water and says, "Here, drink this." And you drink it, and you realize you know what this is by taste. It's something you haven't encountered on Jassoon yet, or Barsoom. It is a blend of what is basically powdered aspirin and cocaine to give you a shot of energy and to dull the pain. You've actually have seen this used on the battlefield. When a soldier is wounded and they have to get him back to the medical tents, they'll give them a bit of this in lieu of something stronger.
I actually
give
have
initiative
some in my
energy.
pack.
Yeah. So, and of course, with that gets you all there. So what I'm gonna do since we have that battle has seems to have come to at least an interim, since Fergal intends to actually give chase. I am going to go ahead and ask for a soliloquy from Terrence, since he's seen this thing fired off, and he's seen the first action with his group.
Terry will kind of his blood is up, his adrenaline is pumping, his adrenal gland has swelled up to the size of a cantaloupe, and his blood is no longer red. It is yellow and thick and goopy. If he would be cut, it would look like yellow pus, which adrenaline actually kind of is, in its rawest form. He is reveling in the first firefight on Barsoom, and when his lads finally regroup with him, he is he's just standing there. He's got a little bit of a jitter, kind of like maybe that like little bit of shell shock, kind of hand quiver, and he's like, "Oh shit! I gave my last cigarette to Hawkins." He's gonna like dig in his satchel, just with a little bit of fear, a little bit of terror, because he needs a smoke now. like, oh God, that can't be the last one. And when he finally finds one, he's, oh yes. He'll screw that into the side of his mouth, light that up, and when his boys walk over, they'll see him bruised and bloodied, still covered in the Martian sand, smoking, and they proved themselves, and I think it's about time we promote the private. That'll be the end of his soliloquy.
All right. The we see Hawkins there being tended, and the young lady looks at the cigarette and starts to reach for it. Does Hawkins let her take it?
I grab her wrist and with dead seriousness, if you take this, I don't care who you are. I am in pain and I will murder you and say temporary insanity.
She sort of smiles and she says, the fire of Jasum, it's a wonder to see, is it not? You may keep that. She reaches into her pouch and pulls out a little packet of the mixture and mixes it and hands it towards Hawthorne and says, you made this, maybe this for your nerves. You seem to be a bit frazzled, which is understandable. And what do we have going through Hawkins' mind as this is going on?
Well, he's trying to put off this, oh yeah, this is fine. This just happened, ha ha ha. It's pure terror. He realizes from a medical standpoint, he almost died. He could have very easily just, that would have been the end. There would have been nothing left. No one to protect his friends. No medic to patch him up who knows how to save him. There's nothing left. And if it's a field of wheat, it ain't all that was promised him, that's for sure. Ain't all it was chalked up to be, and he ain't really excited to repeat it. And he didn't even achieve his goal yet. What's going through his mind is he's still got to become Jed. If he can't survive a foot fall, how's he going to survive fighting current Jed? He's got to step up his skills. He's got to train harder. He's got to push himself more. He's got to keep pushing until he's ready.
All right. And as we focus over to Fergal, preparing to leave to chase down this prize of this battleship that he intends to take with his 5 men himself, what do we see in his mind?
So Fergal is he looks over and he sees his troop looking at him, and he immediately he stands bolt upright and looks to the right like he's always seen the commanders do in his mind's eye, and reaches down to his belt and pulls a canteen and quickly takes a swig and then washes around in his mouth and spits it out, caps it, puts it on his belt, and he thinks to himself, as he's feeling the sense of accomplishment and success that his flyers are feeling at the moment, his flying Irish, and he thinks back for a moment as the pain that he's currently kind of feeling in his head, because after you vomit really violently, you kind of have this sort of pulsing because your blood's up, and it's reminiscent of when Modus punched him so hard he thought that he had lost the rest of his teeth, because the culmination after 4 days of training with them came to a boiling point. He thought it'd be helpful to take him out for whiskey or something hard to drink. It ended up being a one-on-one match, and he had to take out 3 of them. But they respected him afterwards. Fergal had a lot of bruises after that, but and he kind of rushes back to the moment and the wash of just the remembrance of mortality as his comrade is still kind of sitting upright, but rather shaken. And he just wonders, what are proper rights on Mars for humans? As he goes walking over there and kind of nods to Hawthorne, and he says, "Sir, I'm going to get my ship."
He just nods. He takes a long drag off his cigarette, and he hands it over to you.
And he takes a big drag and holds it for a second, takes about 3 puffs, and then he hands it back to you.
You finish that. As you probably turn, says, "Oh, by the way, Corporal,
He's right there.
I'm talking to you. Go get that ship. I'll meet you at home, all right?"
He stands at attention and salutes you, and then, "Sir, yes, sir."
Let me see
And
if I can get
starts
these
walking over
heliumites
to
to give us a lift, unless they want to wait for you. I'm just going to look to the heliumite commander and like you.
The commander looks at your group and says, "We can take you aboard and follow if you'd like. Lend a hand."
Then they would be complicit in expecting something in return, sir. I say it kind of quietly to you.
No, I think we got this one.
The young lady who is tending to Hawkins looks up and says, tells the commander, says, "You have my authority to assist, but we are assisting in this." And he looks at her and he says, "Yes, ma'am."
Oh, so the commander's a woman?
No, the commander is a man, apparently, the guy that you've been talking to. But the woman who is tending to Hawkins apparently may in some way outrank him.
Oh.
But you see, he's a commander by his rank insignia.
Kind of unnatural for Fergal. He just says, "Well, who's she?" Without realizing that he just sort of blurted out, like, "Who are you?"
Terry will actually bow and say, "My apologies, my lady. I am the Jet of Blackwood, Terrence Hawthorne."
Okay. She looks up at you and says, "Valthoris."
How many Thoruses are there, my dear? Are you?
Oh, there are a few. My father, Calthoris, is the son of one of your own people, John Carter.
It is John. I look around. Is John about?
No, he is not. But he sent me to come visit with you. At this point, you realize this pink color to her skin.
Oh yeah, she's a half caste.
Yeah, it's she seems either to be a half caste or she seems to have some Jasunian look to her. So it says, "Come, let's go by the ship and take care of this soldier of yours." So I assume you're the commander, yes?
I am this lot's commander. Corporal McGuire.
Then she says, "Let's go aboard the launch and we'll go in pursuit and assist you and your men in retrieving this Zidongan raider."
I'll just turn and bellow to the rest of our formation. All right, lads, come on.
Okay. Yeah. The Hawkins people are at first nervous, but they will actually steel themselves and actually go aboard the launch. Their thoats are actually trained to go back if unreined, to go back to Beltan. So they should be just fine on their own. And they man up on this skiff and go back up to the this heliumite warship, and it begins to turn and following the 3 smaller sparks of light that are darting back to the sky of Fergal's Flying Irishman, they turn toward the far glittering dot that is the Zidongan battleship.
I'm going to make a point to walk next to Hawking's stretcher when they got him on. And I'll just kind of look down. How you feeling, mate?
Hurting, sir. Not gonna lie.
Well, you've earned a few weeks rest. Just let them put their hands on you. And he says it that way, and you'll let that sink into you. There's a joke there somewhere. And you'll be
Hurts to laugh.
you'll be my apologies, I didn't want to make you laugh. That you'll be upright and vertical fighting with the rest of us soon.
I don't have a few weeks, sir. The sooner they can fix me, the better. I got plans, and you know it.
I know, just don't wreck yourself anymore.
Yes, sir.
Have you started growing those 2 other arms yet?
Yeah, have you started growing the second pair of arms, Baldric? Have you? Is something in the food? What is it?
Nah, no second pair of arms yet. I think my teeth are
poke
getting
him
longer,
in
though.
the ribs with like
Ow!
where the other arm should come in. Like, oh, I don't feel any stumps.
I'm going to do
Good.
the same to the other side.
I'm trying to smack them, but it's not going well.
Stop.
And as we see the tension finally falling from our warriors with the adrenaline rush of battle fading away, and then jokingly prodding each other, our view will pull back, go above as the launch docks with this great warship, pull up further and further until we see the scout ships ahead, and then far in the distance, limping, this Zidongan warship, seeming to look as if a gazelle has been wounded by a great cat, limping across the savannah, and those pursuing ships running it down. And with that, our session comes to an end. Thank you very much for tuning in this week. We'll catch you again next week at the same time, and we'll see, does Corporal Fergal McGuire become Captain McGuire of his own ship, or does Dawkins get away?
Oh yeah.
Good night, folks, and have a wonderful week.
Good night, everybody.